How to harness the power of time. You can make time your servant by controlling your response to what happens to you instead of having events control how you react to your day. You can control time by how you use it. To be successful, there's one overriding principle you must understand and adopt: how to make time your servant. Too many people spend their lives on the nitpicky stuff rather than the most important things they need to get done that day. There's a very old principle called the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. The other 80% of your time produces only 20% of your results. You can see why, to be successful, you should concentrate only on the 20% of the effort that is going to produce for you. A good way to manage this is at the end of every day, you should make a list of the 15 things you need to get done the next day in order of importance. When you come to work the next day, start with the first thing on your list. Concentrate on that, and don't let yourself get distracted by number 15 on the list. Continue down the list, concentrating on and finishing number 2, and then number 3, etc. At the end of the day, even if you've only finished half of your list, at least it will be the most important half. Consider this an analogy. You have a bar of steel. Now, out of that bar of steel, you can make 4 horseshoes, 1,000 mainsprings, or 4,000 razor blades. Your time can be seen in the same way. What will you make of it? There's another principle that's very important to follow in deciding how to use your time, and that has something to do with what we've talked about before. Are you going to spend your time in useful pursuits or in reacting and responding negatively to events happening around you? If you react negatively, you will be wasting the most precious of your resources, your time. Your time is something you can never get back. And what is the second principle? 10% of what happens to you comes from events outside of your control. The TV quits working. Someone cuts you off on the freeway. The repairman shows up 4 hours late. Your coworker steals your thunder by claiming your idea as his or hers. Believe it or not, the rest of your day, the other 90%, is determined by how you react to these things. Remember the Ann Landers story about the milk bottle? Take the example of the driver cutting you off on the freeway. You now have two choices. You can shrug it off, or you can get furiously angry. You can grouse about it all the way to work. You can tell everyone you run into at work about the lousy jerk who cut you off. You can tell your lunch date. You can get angry all over again when you get in the car for the commute home. So you have just made yourself miserable all day over someone you don't even know, who probably hasn't given a second thought to what happened. I received a beautiful email which I'm going to read here. Unfortunately, it came from anonymous, so I can't give credit to the person who wrote it. And here it is. Only you have control over most of your life. Let's use an example. You're eating breakfast with your family. Your daughter knocks over a cup of coffee onto your business shirt. You have no control over what just happened. What happens next will be determined by how you react. You curse. You harshly scold your daughter for knocking the coffee over. She breaks down in tears. After scolding her, you turn to your wife and criticize her for placing the cup too close to the edge of the table. An exchange of angry words follows. You storm upstairs and angrily change your shirt. Back downstairs, you find your daughter has been too busy crying and hurt to finish breakfast and get ready for school. She misses the bus. Your wife leaves immediately for work, upset and angry, and yells, "You take her." You rush to the car, and drive your daughter to school. Because you are late, you furiously drive 40 miles an hour in a 30-mile-per-hour speed limit area. A policeman pulls you over. After a 15-minute delay and throwing away $60 on a traffic fine, you arrive at school. Your daughter runs to the building without saying goodbye. After arriving at the office 20 minutes late, you find you forgot your briefcase. Your day has started terribly wrong. As it continues, it seems to get worse and worse. You look forward to going home, but when you arrive home, you find damage and hurt in your relationship with your spouse and your daughter. Why? All because of how you chose to react in the morning. Why did you have a bad day? Did the coffee cup cause it? Did your daughter cause it? Did the policeman cause it? Or did you cause it? The honest answer, of course, is that you caused it. Had no control over what happened with the coffee. How you reacted in the next 10 seconds, which was entirely under your control, is what caused your bad day. Here is what could have and should have happened. Coffee splashes over you. Your daughter is feeling apologetic and sorry. You gently say with a smile, "It's okay, honey. I know you didn't mean it." You rush upstairs to change. After tossing on a new shirt and grabbing your briefcase, you come back down in time to look through the window and see your child getting on the bus. She turns and waves. You and your spouse kiss before you both go off to work. You arrive 5 minutes early and cheerfully greet the staff. Your boss comments on how good of a day you seem to be having. Notice the difference? Two different scenarios. Both started the same, both ended differently. Why? Because of how you chose to react. You really do not have any control over 10% of what happens, but the other 90% is determined by your own free will. At a Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship conference, I heard a speaker say, "What is, is. It is resistance to what is that causes unhappiness." Always go back to the analogy of the smashed milk bottle. Don't waste your precious time on things that cannot be put back together. And best of all, by learning to control your attitude and your responses to happenings around you, you won't create situations that are difficult to repair, thereby wasting your precious time on being upset. Nothing in life is worth starting World War III over.